This is the water.
This is the water.
But this is the well.
Wow.
I pictured somebody just like, you come over to their house and it's like, hey, thanks for coming out. I'm just going to show you around. This is the water. And
This is the well.
Then they just pass out.
like,
Good night.
It's like, oh, cool.
Sleep
yeah.
tight.
I mean, drink full and descend.
And don't let the bed bugs bite or crawl into your mouth.
Is that what a bed bug is?
I need to call several exterminators. I'll be back.
Welcome to Twin Peaks, folks. We're happy to have you with us.
Yeah, welcome back to Talking Backwards, a Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Dave Jackson, joined by Patrick Mahan
Hey, everybody.
and Tyler Mullins.
Hello.
We got a big one today. It's a very special one, very exciting one. But before we get going, I'm going to do something I've never done on the show before.
Okay.
It's a brand new bit. How you guys doing?
I hate this.
This is uncomfortable.
I'm just checking in. I'm just checking in.
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. I just drove all the way up here, and it's funny. So I have like a Twin Peaks playlist, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll put this on, put it on shuffle. Not even kidding you. The first thing that came on was the slow 30s room music that plays when the Giants like behind the And I was like, well, here we are. I was like, this couldn't have worked out any better. So I'm in a zone right now.
Perfect.
That's where I'm at. I don't know about you, Tyler.
Well, I spent most of the day getting this ready.
And we appreciate it.
Yes.
But how are you, Dave?
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Great.
I see. You asked us, so we would ask you.
Yep. Well, we have an addition here to the show.
Yes, we should introduce our guest.
Yes.
We've had him on before, and we've got him on again. This is...
Do we have his intro music?
Do we?
Yeah.
We have intro music?
Oh, let's hear it.
Play it.
Dummy, it's me!
It's Mr. Tojo. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Ring. It's Mr. Ring. There's no disguise there. Welcome back, Jeremiah. Take the ring. It's so good to have you here.
Thanks, fellas.
We
Happy
couldn't
to be back.
We couldn't do this one alone.
I couldn't.
We need 4 people to talk about this one because it's so boring that we have to drag it out.
Yeah. Nothing happened.
Nothing happens.
I mean, nothing happened.
Boy, oh boy, does this episode just keep happening? This is happening. This is part 8 of The Return, and I'm gonna assume we've got some Pat stats on this.
Yep.
Call out your boy for some Pat stats.
This is part 8 of Twin Peaks The Return, a.k.a. Season 3, Episode 8, a.k.a. Got a Light from Twin Peaks, the limited event series.
He just rattled that off the top of his head, too.
That's it.
I did. That's all. Also, no Dougie Jones this episode.
No Dougies.
There's no Dougie here in part 8.
Just one Cooper character.
Yeah. Sorry, character. Sorry, Dougie Jones fans. He's not here this week.
All we get to this time is the Magician.
The Magician.
Ooh.
Yes. So let's dive in.
Let's dive right in. We've got an open road. It's dark.
Is it a lost highway?
It could very well be a lost highway.
Yeah.
It's Mr. C and Ray recently escaped from Yankton Federal Prison.
Recently.
Points out that Mr. C points out that there are 3 tracking devices on the car. 3.
Yeah. And
with his fully expendable Super BlackBerry, is able to adjust the tracking from the car to the truck ahead of them.
So this isn't the first time he's done some weird shit.
Via phone.
Yeah, via phone or via electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we've not really, when I think about the stuff that he did at the prison when he was setting off all the alarms and all that stuff, through the phone. And I just attest this to all. It's just Black Lodge magic.
Just a bunch of hoobagoob.
Yeah, hoobagoob.
All right.
Wacky technology, and I don't know how much of this is just David Lynch and wacky technology. There is a theme of overuses of gadgets and these Blackberries, that can access prison systems and
Right.
things.
And they can make devices shrink.
It's kind of silly and kind of over the top.
I look at it like, this wouldn't have worked if it was Leland. Leland's wasn't from the Black Lodge. The doppelganger is from the Black Lodge. That's why this works. That's why he can do this.
Yeah. And then something else for you guys to maybe think about. It's my opinion and other people's as well that remember in the original show, Cooper's original quote unquote doppelganger or nemesis was Wyndham Earle. And you remember Bob takes his soul, right? So Bob is inside Mr. C now. So Mr. C has a suitcase with a computer in it.
Right.
Is that Wyndham Earle's?
Right. It's like Wyndham Earle's. Yeah.
Probably. Is it the one or
What?
one like it?
It looks just like the one he had. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Can't
then
handle
so
this
some people believe that Mr. C's suitcase and half of his computer wizardry and all that stuff is Wyndham Earle inside of him because he's inside of Bob. So they think the suitcase might be Wyndham Earle's suitcase from the original show.
Well,
so there's that.
Well, I agree, and and that's what's so great about the show is everyone has their own personal experience with it, with their own interpretations. I mean, I agree. I think for sure that was probably Wyndham's. I mean, or it's just everyone in the FBI was given a suit, a briefcase thing like that. But I do get the Wyndham connection because we've seen Wyndham use it, whether Wyndham's with him or not.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never thought about that before. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll need a little more time thinking about that theory.
Yeah.
I mean, my brain is already basically just a bowl of spaghetti at this point, and
Mom's spaghetti.
yeah, and to add this layer where it hadn't even occurred to me that there is a piece of Wyndham Earle in Bob who is in this Cooper creature, and now that's just Parmesan cheese, man. That's just tasty. That's good. That's just tastes good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cheese
Now,
Parmesan.
so there's something to be said that Cooper was an FBI man, and even if that's not true, Cooper was an FBI man. He did run around. Wyndham Earle was his mentor, right? And then he's also had 25 years of being the genius Dale Cooper out running around, and his sole purpose for the last 25 years is to amass wealth and figure out the mysteries of the Black Lodge or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like it could just be as simple as Cooper is a genius and now he's an evil genius, and he's been an evil genius for 25 years, and he has figured out how to tap into prison systems and throw bugs onto semis from his moving vehicle because he's an evil genius. Right. So there's that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
But I love that we don't question it. It's just, that's what he does.
Well, I question it.
I think I watched it and I just accepted it.
Maybe you
no,
don't, but
no,
I
did.
for
I
sure
watched it and
question
I
it.
just accepted it. I was like, oh yeah, of course he can do that.
Yeah. That's fine. It's just but before we move on from this, I think it's really cool to have this recurring theme of old tech doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like just the landline phone in the prison that I assume only makes outgoing calls and doesn't really have function outside of that.
Well, even going back to when he was getting all that information from the prison in that thing, it was like, was he getting all that information where he found Mr. Strawberry and all this stuff on the, on the warden? Like,
oh, he's got eyes and ears everywhere.
yeah.
Obviously.
Well, we know he's psychic because he said food is coming.
Yeah.
So he's got powers.
Yeah. He's connected to the spooky Uki on a level that S1, S2 Cooper never could be.
S1, S2 Cooper could never even dream about.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of dreams.
If he'd spent more time, if Cooper, as we knew him, spent more time amassing wealth and studying the Black Lodge, we might not be in this position.
Yeah. Where do we go to next?
Well, next we're gonna stay in the car. We're still in the car. We're gonna be in the car for a while. Yeah. Ray starts asking questions about Daria, who of course met her end very recently, and
he doesn't know that.
He does not.
Well, Ray doesn't know that.
Right, that's what I meant.
But Mr. C knows for sure because he did the murder.
Yeah, he did it.
And he lies to Ray about her and says she's waiting for a phone call when they get to a safe place. And Ray mentions something about heading to somewhere called the farm.
Yep.
I don't think there's been any previous mention of this.
Of the farm.
Of the farm.
What was that?
In part
place?
7, we had a farmer talking to Andy.
What was the place in season 2?
Oh, Dead Dog Farm. So
Dead Dog
our second farm.
Hey, hit it.
Our second.
Look at me knowing shit.
Yeah, Tyler. Look at you. That was great.
I've seen this show.
Yeah. I didn't even think about Dead Dog Farm. That's awesome.
You've grown into a super fan.
Yes.
So then I guess the dog leg.
What's the name of that place?
Exactly.
Nailed it.
So I guess the dog leg was our second dead dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Pile them on.
Well, I mean,
We're super antsy with the doubles at the beginning of a show.
We are. We love it.
yeah.
Get a little trigger happy.
The only thing I'll say about that is like, it's just, I'm sure you picked up on that by now, but like, and I'm not spoiling anything. Like, most of this shit doesn't go anywhere. But like, yeah, like
no shit.
There's a farm. There's a farm. There's a farm and a dead dog with the dog legs.
Yep.
It's like, it's almost like every single little thing is kind of a weird, a broken, shattered, backwards mirror reference of something we've seen before, but nothing is like.
But so much of it doesn't matter.
Like I don't know why.
So much stuff.
It's like,
so much stuff just doesn't
it's-
come up again.
I don't know why it's in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've talked about it before, but it seems like there's so many things that are dropped as breadcrumbs that are just there to be referenced again that don't actually play a part.
Right.
Just like, hey, remember when that person hit their shoulder on a door frame? Well, there's a door frame in this shot. and the painting has its shoulder smudged. Like, it doesn't matter, but it's there. It's there to be.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
there to be
It's
caught.
there, and it's
So
there for you to think about it.
I think it's there to give people analysis paralysis, where they're just like, it's all connected, man. It's all connected. Number 23.
Yep.
It's like, but
Exactly. Yeah.
but maybe it's not.
Right.
Maybe it is.
It's definitely not.
Probably not.
That's what's so good.
I'm going to get to the end of this show. I'm going to get to part 18.
I'm drowning in an ocean full of red herrings.
And Hawk's going to walk up and be like, this is all because that girl washed up, wrapped in plastic.
And everyone looks at him like,
Full circle.
yes, that's what it's all about.
Oh, we've got miles to go.
We do have miles to go. We're still on the road. Well, Ray does a smart thing and does not write down the numbers that Mr. C wanted him to get for him.
He definitely wrote them down.
He says, it's all up here. I've got it memorized.
No, he didn't.
Basically,
This is Ray. This is that fucker Ray. He don't know.
basically, you can't kill me because
Yeah.
I can only tell you what you want to know.
Yeah. So he does a smart thing and has leverage, but he does a dumb thing and tries to leverage Mr. C.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
If I've learned anything in life, it is
Write it down.
don't blackmail a magician.
Yeah. After we realize that Ray's trying to kind of get away with being withholding, there's a very long shot of just driving.
Building up.
I didn't write it down,
He's
but I remembered
just like
Oh,
Ray.
You're
that it's
a regular
I want to
Ray.
say it's like a minute and 36 seconds of just shots of driving intercut in this
Yeah.
scene. But I did note that it's very similar to the shots of the road that James and Donna drove to bury the necklace. The cinematography is almost exact. And that's a running theme in this episode as well.
Cinematography.
The cinematography being a mirror image of something we've seen before. Yes.
Who's James?
We haven't seen him since part 2.
I'm gonna circle back to that. Yeah, when Mr. C says go for it when Ray asks to take a leak, the look he gives him is pretty telling. And we remember that Mr. C had a friend left in the glove box.
It's true. Thanks, Warden Murphy.
Yeah. Warden gave him a gun, but with caveats, because this gun ain't loaded.
No.
Find it strange that he didn't make sure there were bullets in it before he pulled it out.
Was it specified in his request?
It wasn't in his rider. He opens the glove box, pulls the gun out, looks at it, but doesn't check the cylinder.
Yeah.
He pulls it out, admires it for a moment, just like, yeah, that's good, people killer.
This is a gun.
This will work perfectly for what I want to do. But you check. This guy checks.
He didn't though.
I also felt like this moment was slightly foreshadowed in the last episode with...
For those of you who don't.
No, Cooper gets got. Ray pulls a fast one on him.
Well, he's got a friend too.
And this was foreshadowed just a little bit because I pointed it out as being odd in part 7 when Ben Horn is talking about when he sees the Cooper's room key.
That was the room where Agent Cooper was shot.
Mm-hmm. Why specifically
the bloody,
that?
Bloody T-shirt and the missing pages were?
No, that's Hawk.
Okay.
But I'm glad you're thinking, Tyler.
Yeah. Always thinking.
No, but I thought it was his phrasing of that. Like, why bring that up specifically? Why not? Mm-hmm. That's Agent Cooper's room. But then you have Cooper getting shot again. Mm-hmm. Is it the same amount of times? Is it 3 times?
2 times.
Oh, it's 2 times.
Yeah.
Was it 3 times when Josie shot him?
It was 2 times when Josie shot him.
2 times.
And so when Ray shoots him, it plays like a stutter shot. Like it's him shooting, and then it plays the exact same footage of him shooting again. It just like it's like the footage glitches, but it actually happens in real life.
Kind of like when Cooper
really weird looking.
Shot Hastings' wife. It does that too.
Mm-hmm.
When he shot her in the house, yeah.
Yeah.
Right in front of the Morgans.
I didn't know what it meant. I noted that happened.
Look at you noting stuff.
Well, I got notes.
All right.
I got notes. I found a typewriter font. I'm using that for my notes. Has changed my life.
I have a typewriter.
You do have a typewriter.
Type our Patreon letters on it.
Patreon.com/talkingbackwards.
Nailed it.
Sign up today. I also did notice that the shot of Mr. C laying on the ground after he was shot is identical to the shot of Cooper at the Great Northern.
It's history repeating. It's the arm saying time and time again.
Body falls on floor.
Yes.
Caption.
No, that was Leo.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
That was when Leo got shot. Yeah.
Body falls on floor.
That was also, I mean, not this is splitting hairs kind of, but just kind of interesting. But basically, that Cooper was, if you count the pilot, which I don't numerically, like that's episode 0 or the pilot, but Cooper was shot in the 8th episode of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Technically episode 7, but the eighth installment of Twin Peaks is when Cooper got shot at the Great Northern, and this is episode 8 of the new one. And you're right. Again. And Ben Horn brings it up, and like you said, he's laying there exactly the same way.
Yep, exactly the same.
Same framing, same body position. Yeah. I think same location of wounds.
Yeah. But
oh geez, I didn't
check up on that either.
Like just 100%.
But Cooper didn't get help back then.
No, he
didn't have.
But he did.
He almost did.
He almost did.
Almost.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard about
almost.
it.
Well, he did get help because his milk almost got cold.
It's true.
He got warned about that.
Milk will get cold on you.
Yep.
No, Mr. C does get some help, as Ray puts it.
Yeah, he got some help. So nonchalantly, by the way, when he talks about that, and he's like, "You got some help." We'll get to that, though.
Yeah, really glosses over.
Yeah. So
I mean, we get to it right now.
Right. Well, this happens, and I mean, these we see they're credited as Woodsmen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the official title. Dave, you brought it up too. You put the connections together that with the Fire Walk with Me scene above the convenience store. Yeah. We've seen this, but a more evolved version, a more charred version of this of these characters.
Yeah. Oh no, these guys have black lung.
Yeah. Yeah. Black Lodge lung.
Black Lodge clock.
Yeah.
Got the Black Lodge, Pop.
But it's almost like, to me, the way I read it is like they were like protectors of that world, of their world. I should
The Black Lodge.
Yeah, they're coming out to protect their man,
their investment.
Yeah,
Come get your
basically,
mans.
Yeah, and we've seen him a few times in the series so far.
Mhm.
Go back
Have
to
we?
Yes.
In
the
the
cell with Hastings.
Mhm.
So it's and we know.
oh the Buddha statue.
You said that, yeah.
The guy that rolled up on Knox at the morgue.
Yeah. Lieutenant
Knox.
Cynthia Knox, Lieutenant Knox at the morgue when she's out in the hallway and it's
Niles'
walking up.
wife.
Not Niles' wife. That's Constance.
Oh,
She's standing in the hallway on the phone with Ghostbuster, and he's walking down the hall behind her, and there's like ominous tone as soon as it appears. We've seen these characters before, and I mean, it's just, what were they doing there? I mean, Briggs' body's there, at the morgue. It's like, are they around watching what's going on with that? Stuff to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
And the music, by the way, during this scene.
Yes.
Moonlight Sonata, it's sped down
oh.
a lot.
Oh.
Yep, that's what's
Do you
playing.
know the percentage?
Don't have the percentage offhand.
Wow.
Don't have that memorized, but it is sped down.
Very cool.
And we do catch a glimpse of something coming out of Mr. C. Out of Boot.
Garmin Boza,
Possibly.
cream corn.
Deviled eggs.
We catch a glimpse of a bob ball.
Bob ball.
Yeah, a bob ball. That's how I describe it. It gets really close up on his face, and he's just smiling, and I don't like it. I don't like this vision.
Well, get used to it. Because
Yeah, I know. We see more of it. I love that sets that up, too. It's just,
Yeah.
you see this bob ball.
Bob
And
ball.
it comes up later.
for lack of a better term,
Coming to our Talking Backwards store any day now, a
The
bob
beach
ball.
The beach ball. I love that Ray's just, he's not really freaking out. I mean, he's just like looking like, oh, this is weird, but he's not like,
I would disagree.
he's not running away right away. He's like in a trance.
Well, there's a thing called shock
That's true.
when you freak out.
That's true.
That keeps you from running away.
Yeah.
Everything is super, and not just the song. Everything is super slowed down. Like
The shots of
it's
him
funny
are,
you
but I
say-
feel like
it's
the
funny-
Woodsmen kind of aren't. They're still working.
Oh, right. But there's like, I don't know. That's funny you brought up trance, like, because I've seen it a million times now. But like, I always kind of get like sleepy in that scene.
Yeah.
Like I remember when the show happened, like seeing it the first time, I was like,
It's so dark too.
it's just like, oh yeah, it's like so dark and you can't see a thing, and then the music is just whoom, whoom, and then like it seems like that scene stretches out. I mean, I know we're talking about Twin Peaks, and it's kind of what it does, but like it seems like that scene stretches out for a long time. I just remember kind of like, okay, like I think I almost nodded off when I
I
first
completely
saw it.
understand. The first time I saw it was at like
Midnight.
midnight
Yeah.
after
It's like,
we had been drinking,
Yeah.
just ate Crystal, which is easily the most hallucinogenic fast food restaurant. And I did not know what was happening.
Of course not. How could you?
Also, I was tired.
Right. It was late.
Yeah, it's a real kind of binaural meditation wave musically that just kind of lulls you while all this is happening. While Ray is slowed down and Cooper is slowed down, but the Woodsmen are superimposed and sped up. Like it's
They're
just
working. Yeah. They're superimposed. Yeah.
yeah, like little elves just rub the blood on his face. Hurry! Canonically, that's how these Woodsmen talk. Just these though.
Just these. Gotta like
Ray finally takes off and makes a call to a Philip.
a Philip.
Jeffries? Gerard?
Jeffries and Gerard, the only two Phillips I know.
We don't know.
This,
A third heretofore unknown Philip?
but assuming this is one of those Phillips, that makes me wonder more about Ray, what his deal is.
That fucker Ray.
It begs more questions about Ray to me.
Yeah, because he mentions that he saw something come out of Cooper and that it might be the key to what this is all about.
Exactly.
What do you know?
that. Yeah. What does Ray know? Exactly. I love that because it's just like, wait a second.
What is all about?
Who do you work for?
Yeah. Who are you in cahoots with?
I love it.
Caboots.
Cahoots.
Yeah. So that moment right there made me look at Ray in a totally different light.
Yeah.
Because I just thought he was just one of Mr. C's henchmen.
Right.
No.
Not anymore.
No.
And then since it's the end of the episode, we go to the Roadhouse.
Yeah, that's
With,
right. That's exactly what I thought.
With my damn fine line of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Roadhouse is proud to welcome the 9-Inch Nails.
The 9-Inch Nails.
The 9-Inch Nails.
Damn fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Roadhouse invested in an in-house
MC.
MC. Yeah.
Who's just credited as MC.
Yep.
Yep.
He has a lot of striking resemblances to the singer from the Red Room at the end of season 2.
Scott. Yeah, in a tuxedo.
Yeah, in a tuxedo.
African American man, not too terribly tall, in a tuxedo, and his voice is very, I guess, soulful. I mean, he's definitely an MC, but like
it has the same
Jimmy
kind of
Scott
timbre.
He doesn't talk in the final episode, but he sings. And he's got a gravitas to his voice, but it's African American, medium height, in a tuxedo with a gravitas.
Definitely a parallel.
Feels intentionally styled to resemble
Jimmy Scott.
I agree.
Jimmy Scott.
100%.
Go for him.
But when they cut to the Roadhouse, when I realized, that's when I completely lost my mind.
How did they book the 9-Inch Nails?
Well, no. Like,
It's like,
How
it's
did-
over?
how
This
did-
has been the recipe of episodes.
Is it?
no. But not
What are the?
How long is this song going to be?
Are the Renaults and the Resners in cahoots?
Yeah, exactly. Probably.
Yeah.
So just sorry to take it out a little bit. Just my whole leading up to this. I was watching the show week to week, super stoked about it, really enjoying it, whatever. And I think it was the day before or the day of, Peter Deming, the cinematographer, who's not on Twitter or any social media, but he does have an Instagram. He dropped a photo that was all text, and it just said episode 8 will be like no other.
Yeah, I remember
That's
seeing
all he
that too
said.
because
And it was like the day before or that day.
I think it was that
And then
morning.
also-
Because I remember Twitter I think it was that morning because Twitter blew up about it. They were like, "Oh my God, what is tonight going to be?"
Yeah, so my mind all day was just, and I want to say that's that week or within a few days or whatever, they said, I haven't researched this to find this, and I don't know if this was just a goof that somebody did or if this was planted by the studio or like Showtime and Lynch, but like it was like musical guest on episode 8 is going to be, and it was like some German industrial band, like with he had a weird picture and a weird name, and I'm like,
Rammstein?
I'm like, it's like not Rammstein, but like I know them. I'm a fan. So, but like the other guy.
Well, he also
like,
whistled the Rammstein song in part 4 or 5 when he was in front of.
when he whistles it.
Yeah.
I can't believe it didn't whistle Foul or Fry.
You're right. Some people say that that's a theme song from a Fellini film, which Lynch supposedly likes, but I'm convinced it's Rammstein. I'm convinced it's the last 2 measures of the Rammstein bar.
Mr. Ring, I've seen you tweet the. I'm pretty sure I've seen you tweet about because I mean, Lynch and Reznor go way back. Lost Highway.
Yeah.
I've seen you tweet the Rolling Stone cover they were on together.
I'm a huge fan. I remember like 2 years before that Trent Reznor was supposedly going to be in it. Like he got cast. I'd forgotten that. I was like, okay, well, Eddie, people are in this. No, Reznor's in it. But like, I assumed he was just going to show up as an extra because he's a big fan or he's friends with David Lynch, whatever. And I had it totally slipped my mind that was even a possibility. Yeah. So they had this planted that it was going to be some weird, crazy German noise band that I'd never heard of was going to be on the show. And then Peter Deming said this is going to be like nothing else. So then, Cooper gets shot and you go into that trance, or Mr. C gets shot, you go into that trance, and then they cut to the Roadhouse where it's basically the beginning of the episode. Right.
Yeah.
And it was actually 9-Inch Nails, and I completely lost my mind. I was like, oh my God. This is like they're turning the show on its head.
Yeah.
They literally turn the whole show on its head with this episode. Not just the episode being reversed.
Yeah.
This episode flips everything you know about Twin Peaks, basically.
I would have loved if this was the end of the episode. Here's a 20-minute flick for you. Tune in next week.
Yeah, they just do a whole set.
Yeah.
But also, who would have expected? I mean, we didn't really say it, but I was like, I didn't expect Cooper to get shot or Mr. C. Like,
Right.
I just
I
wasn't.
didn't the first time.
Yeah, I wasn't. That wasn't anything I was even remotely thinking about that this was going to backfire on him because he seems invincible with all the power that he has. But you forget about that once the Nine Inch Nails start playing.
You get him away from a phone, and then what has he got?
Bippity boppity
Shot.
He gets shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, the song that they perform, "She's Gone Away," it's very Twin Peaks lyrics wise. I found this quote, actually, it was on the Genius website from Trent Reznor. It says, actually, we wrote a different song initially. And David Lynch said, how about something less Twin Peaksy sounding and more aggressive and ugly? And then Atticus Ross says, I think he said, make my hair stand on end. Ross added, our nightmares can confirm the second time really was the charm.
All right.
But yeah, the lyrics, it's, she's gone away. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of lines that stand out to me in this song. I don't know if you guys picked up on any of them.
I couldn't tell a single word.
Well, I didn't know if you looked up the words.
I did not.
You dig in places till your fingers bleed. Kind of comes in later in the episode. Can't remember what she came here for. Can't remember much of anything anymore. Very like, what's going on? Having trouble remembering stuff. Also, a little mouth opened up inside. That comes into play.
A little mouth do open up.
Yeah. And I was watching on the day she died, and we keep licking while the skin turns black. We just saw a bunch of charred individuals. So there's a lot of... There you go.
He has kind of a cackle in the song, which always kind of reminded me of like a Bob, or a Leland type. I'm legit curious, especially when all these songs are over with and we can talk about the lyrics of all these songs. Like, I'm curious what these musicians actually knew about this show. And if it's like the actors, they didn't know nothing. That this is all just kind of a coincidence, like these lyrics lining up. And
so, yeah, the Nine Inch Nails got paid $20 for the night at the Roadhouse.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they got like 80% of the door on that one.
They're not Julie Cruz.
yeah.
They're not.
Yeah. That was
we are far removed from Julie Cruz at this point.
Yeah. The Jew Cruise has sailed.
Yes.
So what happens next, Dave?
I mean, if we're ready, we can time travel.
Nope. For that.
What? Oh yeah. Mr. C recovers.
Oh,
Yeah, he recovers.
He just gets up.
Fully recovers.
Yeah.
The Nine Inch Nails brought him back to life.
Yeah, well, why don't we just time travel?
Sure.
Let's go to July 16th, 1945.
Wow.
very
Location,
Specific.
White Sands, New Mexico.
It was a Thursday.
Was it actually Thursday?
I have no idea.
I hope it was.
If that lines up, that's awesome. Just an empty desert,
Yeah.
not a lot going on.
No.
But a countdown, I hear.
Yeah, countdown starts.
It must be somebody's birthday
Mhm.
or New Year's.
Or New Year's.
Could be New
On
Year's.
July 16th.
Yes.
It's the White Sands New Year's.
Somebody's dad was out of town, and now they're back in town. Now they can celebrate the 4th.
Look, people in White Sands, different.
Oh, no doubt. They charred.
They burnt. An atomic bomb goes off.
Yes. So, and then this is where I just check out for the rest of the episode.
You probably checked out from 16 minutes 55 seconds to 21 minutes 20 seconds, where there's just
This is where Lynch is giving his Stanley Kubrick homage.
yes.
it's just a montage of Windows Media Player visualizations.
That's my Winamp visualizer.
Yeah, to this, I guess, triumphant-ish score.
Yeah. So the song.
Yeah.
I could be pronouncing the name wrong. Threnody for the victims of Hiroshima,
Okay.
which was also used in The Shining. So again, the Stanley Kubrick, not just The Shining, but I'm reminded of more reminded the music that yes, but I'm more reminded of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of visuals here. I mean, I even get reminded of Cooper going to the non-existent territory back in part 2, 3, out of the Red Room with all the craziness and the particles. Before the Mauve Zone, going into the Mauve Zone, which actually comes up later in this episode.
The Pink Room?
Not the Pink Room.
Yeah.
I thought that all was the Mauve Zone, like out the Purple Sea.
Well, the Purple Sea, but I mean
building.
before that, just like him coming through the glass box, going into the non-existent, because it looked like he was having his own frenzy in his own space. It was so chaotic like that. I was reminded visually, with all the chaos going on the screen, of that.
Sure,
because that had already happened.
The bomb goes off, and you're seeing another realm of existence, and.
Which it's like, the way I even interpreted that is like this bomb going off was creating the evil that men do, and it was created by the evil that men do, if that makes sense.
Big bang?
A big bang, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But to quote Albert from season 2, it was like, this is literally all of this is the evil that men do, and it's making shit more evil.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the intercourse between two worlds, as they said.
Yes. I mean, and so just remember when we read the Secret History, now you remember the Jack Parsons talking to Dougie Milford, like, we were out in the desert.
They were there when this happened.
We were having sex rituals trying to call some demon, and we were doing it out where they tested the bomb.
And that should take you back to part 1. A sex ritual.
What?
Yeah. So I mean,
glass box.
You're a bad girl, Tracy.
As it brought the experiment in, because what do we see in this?
You're a bad girl, Tracy.
Because what do we see in this? Like the experiment.
Top secret.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's it's literally the Manhattan the Manhattan Project. And
you playing that makes me think more about that. I'm just like, what does Sam know? Top secret? This was top secret. Like, that's blowing my mind.
Well, what did Sam know?
This is a great
He
question.
did.
Well, we'll never know.
We might.
What does Kiefer Sutherland Sam know?
He's
probably not a lot.
Probably not a lot.
Yeah. Actually, he might know a lot because he was the president after everyone died in Designated Survivor.
President Sam Stanley reporting. We need a good wake me up, don't we, Mr. President? That's right, Sam. We do. What was that? We do, Sam. We need a good wake me up.
God, that was incredible.
We sure do need a good wake me up, don't we, Agent Desmond?
Bomb goes off. 4 minutes of fever dream nightmare fuel.
Yep.
And then some more fever dream nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Yep. The convenience store.
Yep. Which it took me a second because I was like watching it and I was like, oh God, here we are back to stuttering, like from part 3.
Yeah.
And then then I read convenience store and I was just like, oh.
I think you call it convenience
I mean
store.
it like it is, like it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, it's what it says on the sign.
Yeah, right.
I believe we call it a convenience store. Yeah, that's the sign.
That's why we had the sign commissioned. Mr. Gerard.
God. He's never been outside the building. He doesn't know what it's like out there.
He only sees it backwards in reflections outside the window.
Yeah, but he lives above it.
Yep.
So the Mauve Zone stuff, the stuttering thing, the backwards and forwards stuff, and then we see the Woodsman do that too. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I read somewhere that it is possibly because of the electricity theme that this is a AC/DC, like alternate current versus direct current. So you've got this kind of going forward and going back, so flickering back and forth. So it's basically the editing style is inspired by electrical currents, which absolutely makes sense.
Yep.
In my opinion.
That makes me accept that so much more.
Yeah.
That puts just enough reason to it for me to buy in. These shots, all the stuttering shots, gave me such huge anxiety.
Oh yeah,
because I have this real issue of
it's super uncomfortable,
feeling like I'm making progress and then getting pulled back, really, really spikes my anxiety. But to think about it like that, makes it go down way smoother.
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
Also,
I'll take
this
it
is
now.
this is. I believe this is actually the first shot of the outside of the convenience store. So we hear it referenced in the pilot. We assume that the arm and Bob and the grandmother in Fire Walk with Me we assume that's because Philip Jeffrey says that was, I was there. It was a meeting above the convenience store, and we see them there. So we assume
remember the meeting.
that is above the convenience store, but
Yep. Oh, yeah.
What you doing over there, Bob?
Who could forget the jumping man? Oh, this is incredible.
Oh no.
Oh, man.
but this is the first time we see the actual convenience store in all of Twin Peaks history. So it's an origin story for, multiple different reasons.
I think that's where it clicked for me. I was sitting alone. I was sitting alone at my house on my couch. My wife was babysitting, and I was watching I had the lights out. I was watching all this, and I was just like, "Oh God, where are we going?" When I saw the convenience store, I was like, "Oh, origin story."
Yeah.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
I could maybe enjoy watching part 8, like starting at the atomic bomb. Like if I had never, because you have no idea.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, and it has no relation to Twin Peaks. So I mean, I feel like I could watch that not knowing anything about the show and be okay. It wouldn't suck me in by any means. But
you mean like watching if you started if you were just a person who didn't know anything about the show, you could just sit there and like, I agree. Like it felt like a David Lynch short film, like an old experimental film. That's like, if you don't know anything about Twin Peaks, like other than the orbs and the convenience store and the giant, obviously, like.
But if you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally just random imagery,
Yeah.
And the greatest thing that's ever been on TV.
That's what I love. Is like Showtime gave him the budget to do this.
Yep.
It's incredible that this even happened. It's incredible that it
now,
even aired.
Netflix is.
Yeah. Now they've apparently given him, well, we don't know, but
we know
more money than Showtime to do whatever the hell he wants.
Hulu, you're next.
That's right.
Yeah.
Disney Plus. Oh, Straight Story. Straight Story's on Disney Plus. So he's already got that. But
yeah, he already curbed that market.
Yeah, but there will be more.
Yes. Pluto.
Please give me the David Lynch channel on Pluto. I would put that on all day.
Oh yeah, that would be on all day.
So shot of the convenience store. We see the Woodsmen appear. There's a lot of stutter footage of them just kind of mulling about. With this continued ringing from the explosion going on over the images. And then we get more explosion from 2120 to 2401.
Jeez.
So a total of about 7 minutes of just visualizations of fire and
when was the last time
ash,
somebody talked?
sparkles.
The countdown.
The countdown was the last
Okay.
voice we heard. And at the end of the just flurry of images and noise and score, we are finally given a little bit of relief with an image of a monster with horns, boobs, and backwards hands floating and vomiting Dr. Dreadful goo.
My arm's been back.
Remember Dr. Dreadful? The thing you'd make the goop and the spiders and it was like, Christmas. And
creepy crawler thing?
Yeah, the creepy crawler guy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and she's just vomiting this gelatin.
So let's stop and talk about because this is the experiment.
Oh, the monster with horns, boobs, and backwards hands vomiting.
Also, the horns.
Goo.
Does the horns remind you of anything?
Jerry.
Yeah, that's
Audrey.
a fucking double. Click it.
Click that shit.
No, the card, the boop card, the Ace of Spades.
Oh, with the
horns
ant on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That had the kind of the different horns from what we'd seen on the.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was an ant.
Lips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
like antennae.
Yes, we don't know 100% that is what was in the glass box. However,
no, that was Tracy.
That's what I think.
So
for
is
the
it,
record.
so for the credits, maybe I can check real quick. Is this thing not also credited as the experiment in the credits of this episode?
I don't know if this thing's credited at all.
I'm gonna double check.
Yeah, you should. If it is, then it totally is.
It is the same girl credited as the experiment. Same girl from part 1.
Oh, okay.
Tracy.
There you go. Never mind. I do run into people sometimes that want to debate me about the thing in the box is not the thing from the bomb. And I'm like, dude, what? Really?
So it's definitely, yeah.
But they do look different.
A little bit, yes, for sure. It's definitely. I agree.
Yeah, it's been
100%.
like 80 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You evolve.
You would look different in 80 years,
Yeah.
Mr. Ring.
Bob 30 years ago used to wear a lot of denim. Now he's a ball. Things change.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to be real specific, he was a ball, then wore a lot of denim. Now he's a ball again.
That's true. He's bouncing around like a ball, like a beach ball.
If you want to buy our denim beach ball,
tell me where to be.
tough.
Somebody give me a phone number to call.
Yep. Her arm's been back.
Her
Yes,
arms do bend back. We need to talk about all the goop coming out of her mouth because it is full of speckly eggs.
A lot of eggs.
But there's a standout object, which is this black rock ball.
The Black Rock
Yes.
from Lost.
No.
Does that black ball have the fury of its own momentum, you think?
I think so. I
would say absolutely it does.
my own momentum.
It's got
Great
death bags,
line.
the works.
Death bag.
This black rock ball has Bob's face superimposed over it.
Which we know for sure it's Bob because we immediately cut to fire. It's like, yep, that's Bob. Thanks for confirming. Fire.
Yep, more bombs from 2455 to 2613.
Yep, the fire is walking with us.
Her vermit is a lot like the cream corn vermit. You know what I mean?
It sure is.
It's
It
kind of
absolutely
Garmin
is.
Bozia-ish.
Yeah. Like the magician's vermin.
Yeah, she's throwing it up like
I love
threw
cream
it up.
corn.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. So a giant electrical pulsating accident that causes Mr. C to vermit.
The episode does get more palatable here as we go back to the Purple Sea with its mountain obelisk, the Flash Gordon building, and
Yeah.
then we move inside to a black and white room where a flapper lady is sitting on a couch vibing to a record player. Just standard fare.
Totally vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a giant bell-shaped device in the room that starts going off at 30 minutes and 11 seconds into the episode, at which 6 question marks, the giant, finally comes
6?
around. 6?
7.
7 question marks. Well, I need to change my notes.
That's embarrassing.
But this alarm isn't addressed until 31 minutes and 50 seconds into the episode.
Jeez.
He's like, should I check this? Maybe I shouldn't.
You should check this.
Maybe I will.
Please.
Oh, I can just press this button?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, if keeping in line with the themes of the original show and everything we've seen so far, the reason that took so long, he was in the bathroom.
Yep. He was taking a leak.
I feel like it didn't really set the scene up well enough. So there's this room. It's in black and white. On the left side of the room, there's a giant bell.
Is it not
shaped mechanism.
floating through space? For some reason, I have it in my head that this room is just like floating.
You know what, man? It
in
might be.
Space.
Sure.
It might be.
Okay.
Parts
And
of
we've
it,
seen,
maybe.
especially with the black and white, we can assume.
I do know space is black.
I assume this is the same place from the very beginning of part 1 with Cooper and the giant.
Sure. So it's this space, and there's a lady we haven't seen before sitting on a couch, dressed like a flapper.
What's her name?
I don't know.
You didn't catch her name?
No.
Credits.
Yeah, it's only in the credits. It's Senorita Dido.
Yep.
Senorita Dido.
Yep.
So we've had a Nido,
And now I died.
now we got a Dido.
Correct. And from the same place.
Yeah. So there's I guess a way of doing things here.
Yeah, a way of naming things.
Yeah, she's just listening to this. I guess you call it a phonograph, a very old timey record player. And
that's what I was vibing to on the way up here
yeah.
tonight.
Is this Slow 30s Room?
Yep, that came on, and I was like, "Oh man, how did it know? How did it know?"
It's a great song. Yeah. All that is going on while Carol Struyken takes so long to come around and check out this alarm. Yeah. Finally cuts it off, and then takes equally as long to walk through this entire structure, it seems like. Just vast open floor plan rooms with like hard Dutch angles to watch him go through everything. This is all filmed in reverse. He goes through a room, up some stairs, to the in-house movie theater, which is legitimately pretty dope.
It's awesome.
And
it's a theater in LA, right, Mr. Ring?
Yeah.
Was this the same theater that was used in Mulholland Drive?
But if it's not, it looks just like, I mean, this is
yeah, that's what I always thought. I was like, this looks like the same place.
But he comes in here and gets a private screening of a sizzle reel from the episode we've already seen.
Which I think that's hilarious. I think that's so funny that it's just a replay of, oh, now he's getting this information.
Yeah.
So was the alarm going? I guess the alarm going off was triggering him to go check out. Oh, let me go see what's going on.
Yeah, that's like when they flicker the lights at intermission, like it's about to start again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he sees the bomb go off. He even sees a lot of the visuals. Like, he gets the exact same edits that we got.
Yeah.
Sees the monster, sees Bob being spit out. And then, I mean, just as expected, floats into the air and starts spraying gold out of his face.
Right.
This episode was too predictable.
He actually packages that gold and sells it to
Jacoby for the shovels.
Oh, he should. That's a real self-sustaining economy.
That's right.
So again, the recurring gold theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much. Tyler, you're a first timer.
Yes. Correct.
What are we feeling right here?
I want to go to bed. What the hell is happening?
I will say this. On a first-time watch, if you're watching it and you don't know what's going on, you can't say that none of it makes sense because there's...
You can literally say that. You can only say that.
No.
That's the only thing you can say.
I disagree 100% because there's clearly a story that's being told. If you can't follow it,
Incorrect.
I don't know what to tell you.
Incorrect.
I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, you do. You just don't want to tell me.
I'm just telling you.
I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
No, definitely not.
I think it.
But I absolutely think there's a story being told. I don't think you can be like, oh, this has nothing to do with anything. Absolutely not. You're wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it absolutely, this entire thing has to do with everything.
Yeah.
And this scene.
This is the
Didn't
origin
we just
story
talk about
of-
earlier how stuff happens that doesn't matter or doesn't have anything to do with anything?
Yeah, but this is too big. We're talking
dog
about, like,
leg?
Oh, there's a dog leg in episode 2, and they talk about Dead Dog Farm in the original show. Like, that could be a coincidence.
We made it a connection, and I think that's awesome.
I feel like that has more to do with it than this
absolutely not
30 minutes.
This is literally the creation of Laura Palmer.
Exactly.
Arguably, which is what the entire show is about. Like, this episode is...
I must have missed her conception.
You did.
You literally did.
Solid gold.
Yep.
Solid gold.
Solid gold. She's solid gold, baby.
Look, I think Tyler is right,
Yes.
and I think Patrick is right.
I hate you.
No, listen. I can look you in the eye and say,
You're doing it.
I can say, Grandma got a back rub. Sorry, let me start over.
Yes, she did. Way to go, Grandma.
Let me start it over.
Yeah, begin again, please.
I can look you in the eye and say, Grandma got a back rub from a backflip plasma shark, triple dipped
Yeah.
in seismology.
Oh, yeah. Give it to me.
And those are words, and you know those words. But that
Half
sentence
of
doesn't
them,
make
at
any
least.
sense. That doesn't make any sense.
I made sense of it.
Make sense of it.
I could say the same thing to somebody else, and they'd say,
So that means he gets part 8.
okay, yeah, I get it.
He said I made sense of it.
Like, I can say words, and you know the words that I'm saying, but that doesn't mean that sentence makes any sense.
Basically, an atomic bomb goes off. some demon spews out a bunch of crap, and in that crap is the face of Bob, which we know,
and eggs.
At the same time, the giant, who you could argue that we know as well, who helped Cooper in the original show. So we can assume that maybe if this demon that creates this black orb with Bob's face, you could call it bad or evil. We've got this gentle giant character who, in response, creates a gold orb with Laura's face and sends it to Earth. That's real. That can be interpreted a million different ways, but like that's literally just like literally what happens on screen.
So she was created to be haunted and died.
Well,
more complicated than that.
That's a different thing. I mean, that's a yes. You
haven't seen everything.
Let me finish describing the scene. Let me finish describing the scene real quick.
Yeah.
He floats up into the air, goes full horizontal, starts spraying gold out of his face. Common hat.
Amazing Angelo Badalamenti, by the way. Absolutely love the music in this scene.
Yeah.
It is
Great
killer.
music. Great music. Spraying gold out of his face. In that gold spray forms this golden bubble, a perfect golden circle. And in that is superimposed Laura Palmer's face. That gets sent down to Senorita Dido, who takes it like it's a baby bird that has decided to light in her hands and says, you know what I should do? Send this to Earth, Krypton style.
Yep.
And just
absolutely
puts it in the special Earth tube, the Earth shooter.
This pneumatic tube that only goes to Earth.
Yeah. Shunks Laura's gold orb down to Earth.
I love shunk as a verb.
And this is ostensibly in direct response to Bob's black ball being vomited from the backwards hands boob demon.
So it's funny with this being called the experiment, the bomb going off was called the Trinity Experiment. And another title for it was the Manhattan Project, the glass box.
I am become
in Manhattan.
Destroyer.
In Manhattan, literally.
And the thing is, like, it just every time you watch it or talk about it or whatever, like something else comes up.
Yes.
Like, so the Manhattan Project was the larger United States government needs to develop a super weapon using atomic fission. It's called the Trinity Test. It was the first detonation of an atomic weapon in the history of the world, and that's what we witnessed.
Can I go back to the orb?
Take me back, baby.
Laura being
let's go to Orb Town, baby.
Take me there, Sketch.
You said the words pure
air.
What? How did you describe her? Describe the orb.
I said new pure gold orb. I think.
Okay.
I think that's what I said.
I feel like when you said it, you were talking about her as a person because she was anything but.
Oh no, as a person, she had flaws every which way.
Yeah.
As her lifestyle is lead one to want to do. But I'm saying at this creation, like we see the image of what this. I guess, is it a soul? Like, is it a new soul being created?
It's a gold ball.
It's a gold ball.
Waiting for it.
And we see Laura's face in it. So we know that this is basically a Laura seed. Well, we don't know that, but I assume this much.
This is all new to
visuals.
me.
But where else have we seen a gold ball so far in this season?
Oh, this is going to be a 3-parter.
Where? Wait.
You've said it like 1,000 times in this show.
I don't remember.
Every time a gold ball comes up, it's a gold ball. So
it's my classic Christmas story reference. It's a blue ball.
Oh, it's a bowling.
Oh, it's a bowling ball.
If we go back to the Dougie in the red room.
Yes.
The gold ball.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The Dougie seed.
Mm-hmm.
But Laura is so much smarter than Dougie.
But Laura also got mentally
Which Dougie are you talking about?
She got psychologically and physically attacked and tortured from such an impressionable age that that intended purity and intelligence was just ransacked.
I think the best way to just move forward without getting into like too much speculation about what's going to happen and whatever, but like this episode, like Tyler's kind of right. Like this episode does kind of stand on its own. It is completely kind of abstract. I mean, we know Laura and Bob because we know Laura and Bob. I think it's fair from context. These were my first impressions from the first night seeing it, that he is reacting to the creation of this black evil orb by creating a good or a golden orb, and then sends it to, and then he and the lady send it to Earth.
I just feel like
And
there's so much.
It's about all you need to know.
Gray area in there. Like,
tell me about it.
Oh, dude, it gets worse.
Like
way worse.
If he had to wait to see this, oh, well, I guess I better make this to combat it. Like, why you gotta wait? Like,
the alarm hadn't gone off.
There was nothing that needed.
Yeah,
to
he
be done.
didn't know. He didn't.
He didn't know.
Like,
look, you're
he knew.
You're in your black and white room. You've got the slow 30s room jams
He's
going.
vibing.
Everybody's vibing. We're having a good time.
Give
dude, you're describing a Friday to me.
You've never put that on shuffle.
Then the alarm goes off. It's like, oh, now my way of life.
Gotta make a
my
gold
way of
ball.
life is being challenged. Yeah, it's time to go make a gold ball. Time
I'll
to step
name
up.
this one Laura.
Lock and load, baby.
I'm so confused.
Let's take a tangent off of the speculation and let's go to some speculation.
Wow.
That's a transition for you.
That was pretty good.
We're back on Earth on a sandy beach.
More sand.
White Sands? Jamaica?
Sure. Speckled egg.
I sort of assumed it was the same area. Well,
Yoshi?
we've gone forward in time though.
How far? Is this the where Dougie Milford's trying to nail that broad?
Is it?
Let's go ahead and say that's canon.
Okay.
We go to where? 1956?
1956. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Earth, 1956. Speckled egg on the beach. Hatches. It is Yoshi. And
So let's talk about the egg quick. So I feel like a lot of people immediately thought, because of what we just saw, that was Laura. But we also just
that's
saw.
what I thought.
That's what Mr. Ring thought. But
Did I?
we
thought
saw.
that?
Not did you?
I mean, you were there. Did I say anything?
You didn't say a word.
Then I did not think that.
But we also saw the experiment, as you said, spew out a lot of other eggs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It could have been any of those eggs just drifting for years
I bet
before
one
they
of them-
landed.
Oh boy.
The one,
Yeah, right, right.
the one that cracked when it landed. That was James.
Why?
So yeah. I mean, that's up. Obviously, that's up for interpretation. But I remember reading, because I mean, immediately, what did I do when the episode ended? I got on Reddit and was up for hours just trying to like wrap my brain around what happened. But I remember reading comments immediately where people were like, "Oh, well, that had to have been Laura. That had to be the Laura egg because of what we just saw."
I still kind of think that, to be honest. I think that it's kind of set up to be ambiguous. I don't think, I mean,
They don't tell you.
yeah, they don't tell you.
I think eggs are eggs and orbs are orbs.
In context of everything that that happens, and I don't want to, and not going to spoil anything, but like, I basically think 75% of me believes that is an egg from the evil vermin. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However,
I agree with you.
the fact that it was the next cut, the fact that this creature goes into a prepubescent girl. The previous scene is basically golden fallopian tubes that create a freaking gold ball that goes to Earth, and the next shot is this creature that cracks out of this thing that goes inside a girl who is at the age when menstruation starts. Then the orb had Laura's face in it. Made me think of conception and birth and eggs and puberty, and like I could make a solid argument that is Laura based on just what we see. Now, based on the books, based on what happens in the rest of the show, based on what people talk about, based on interviews with Mark Frost and people since then, I'm going to say that it's one of the evil egg vermits. However, in my mind, the cool thing is in my mind, I play with both, depending on my mood, depending on whatever. Absolutely. No one can say you're wrong. No one can say you're right because it's interpretive. But I can make a strong case either way. Another million reasons why I love this sequence or this episode. So that's my thoughts on that.
I pretty much agree with that, and I can only say this because they haven't seen everything yet. But I pretty much agree. And you're honestly, I mean, I messaged you this the other day. I mean, your videos, I mean, they helped me a ton, just like put things together. And so I'm excited for them to see them in the future. But I do agree. But it's something fun to think about. And I wanted to bring that up just because that's what we're seeing after what we just saw.
There were so many eggs in that spew, or spure, if that helps.
Sure.
We only saw one hatch.
Yes.
So these eggs could have been spread a lot of places.
Far and wide.
A lot of different Yoshis could have hatched and crawled into a lot of young people's mouths.
I bet one floated around and then
kind of caught the wind and
landed and crawled into Donna 1.0's mouth.
Laura Flynn-Boy.
And that's how we got Donna 2.0 optimized. Wow. In Foom.
The end of my theory is...
How dare you just move on from that perfect analysis?
You have to.
The end of my theory is that all these different Yoshis hatched and crawled into a bunch of different mouths and somehow caused the offspring of these people to be super weird, and there are as many eggs as there are known cast members in Twin Peaks. And everybody's just super weird because everybody was born from somebody swallowing a frog with wings.
Moth frog.
Then we see a young boy and a young girl walk out of a building and have a super uninteresting conversation.
Literally thought it was Dougie Milford immediately.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He was that young?
I would assume so. No, I guess not.
If you're looking at me for timelines, do not.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Tyler, to be fair, that was my first thought too, because this is all hitting you all at once and your brain's just going a million miles a minute. And you're like, hey, okay, 1950s and Trinity and like this is New Mexico, like Roswell, like, oh, maybe this is like the Milford thing. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's how the first time through my brain was just like, okay, maybe this is like,
yeah, because there's the connection of.
My problem was I read the book afterwards, so then I just thought, he was working the site when the bomb went up.
Right.
Is he a woodsman?
Maybe he's a watcher in the woods.
Got a wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
New shirt.
Oh, hey. I'm gonna. This doesn't come up at all later, and this is one of those weird theories that you're gonna either people think what they want or they don't. But since you've read The Secret History and now you've watched Part 8, in The Secret History, do you remember that there was a mysterious fire that burned down a lot of Twin Peaks or whatever, and there were some lumberjacks that were killed? So if you read the book again, there were 8 lumberjacks that were killed, 8 woodsmen that were burned alive in this fire.
That's right.
And if you freeze frame any of those shots, apparently there are 8 woodsmen at any given time throughout the return. If you like with Ray and them rubbing Mr. C to the outside the convenience store, the most you will ever see of the woodsmen, there are 8 of them.
I love that.
And there were 8 woodsmen burned in that mysterious fire in The Secret History.
And those woodsmen sure looked burned.
There are also people that believe, I think this is a bit of a stretch. I don't think so, but it is interesting to know the conditions and the description of the fire that killed those woodsmen. It was a rainless night, mysterious fire, lightning struck. Very, very, very similar to the mysterious fire that took the life of Margaret Lanterman's husband.
Yeah.
Margaret Lanterman's husband was described as incredibly tall with chiseled features and a beard. So there are some that believe that the woodsman in part 8 is Margaret Lanterman's husband.
I won't have it.
Fair enough. Just throwing that out there.
And that's fine, Dave.
Yeah.
Tyler might be having it based on the look on his face.
I'd need to see a picture of her husband.
It's okay.
We'll pull out the wedding photos.
But that's my only cool woodsman theory is that
I like that.
Supposedly they're the spirits of those 8 woodsmen that were in Mark Frost's mind in that book.
I like that, but that also doesn't make sense to me.
It's not the first theory that I've enjoyed that I didn't want.
Why? Like they died in a fire in Twin Peaks, and so they came back from a. Oh no, this isn't.
No, that tracks. It's that we got to get to him, but for this, for the woodsman to be
Forgot a light woodsman.
Yeah, for him, for God of Light to be Log Lady's husband. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Me either, honestly. It's just
about the bad coop Audrey implications. I'm not ready for that. If that makes sense, that tracks. I'm not set to jet on that just yet. It's another one of those kinds of things where, yeah, that would make sense. I don't need that. I don't want that. And until somebody says explicitly this is the case, I'm not having it.
Fair enough.
So you know where we are? You know where we still are? A boy and a girl walk out of a building.
We're still there.
Then what?
The girl finds a penny heads up.
It's good luck.
You would think.
It's really not.
Not in this case.
No.
They talk about whether or not they're going steady with anybody, and it's...
The coin reminded me of the coin trick.
Sure.
From Red.
They do walk past a gas station / convenience store.
Right? I saw it.
I don't know if it's the exact same one, but they do walk past a station. And then we cut to a homeless guy appearing at the blast site.
Perfect.
He descends from pure air.
Yes.
As the arm says. We descended from pure air.
And then we're back on the road at night with a man and lady, we assume his wife, driving on the road, who gets stopped by said homeless-looking guy in the road. I guess I can stop saying homeless guy and say these are the woodsmen.
Sure.
Gets stopped by the woodsman, and he approaches the driver and asks a pretty simple question.
Yeah.
That's it.
The man seems a little startled.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something I noticed with this.
Is it that he asks another question?
Inside the car, it seems like things started moving slow-mo a little bit. It reminded me of Ray from earlier in the episode, where it's like when you get in contact with these things, with the woodsmen, they're going in slow motion.
I also noticed that, but it felt to me more like a temporal distortion, where when these guys get into your like field, you know how in a nightmare when you get faced with a threat, like you go to punch somebody and it's like you're trying to move through water. But it's just like, it seems like, at least to me, I don't know if this is everyone's experience, but when I'm threatened in a dream and I try to fight back, it's like I just can't move fast enough to do it. Like I can't ever make contact because I can't get through whatever's keeping me from getting there in time.
Need to work out more.
I absolutely need to work out more.
It's also interesting that she pulls him away just in time before any further destruction might happen.
And it would have.
Because she pulls him away. So. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, the wife pulls the man away from the woodsman as he's leaning into the window asking for a light with a cigarette in his hand. And they are able to escape.
And I love that shot, too, from inside the car. When you see the other one, they almost hit him. I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
What would have happened?
If they gave him a light?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been the answer to everything. That would have just...
He would have left.
Just like, thanks. Then evaporated.
It would have evaporated.
Then we would go back to the Roadhouse. Catch the encore of the 9 Inch Nails.
Just give him what he wants. No,
Would have finally heard "Hurt."
Ladies and gentlemen, the Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. I was just going to say that.
It's the better version.
Well,
Internet, fight me.
No, Trent would agree. But that gets me thinking. I'm picturing Johnny Cash in the Roadhouse.
I got such big Eraserhead vibes off this whole sequence of the attack on the car and even the continuing scene with the boy and walking the girl home.
With the coin that was heads up.
Yeah.
Is anybody missing a head in this episode? Or in this season?
The coin that was heads up with Abraham Lincoln on it. And it's
Abe Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln is running around terrorizing people.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
And that guy is like, and he plays Abraham Lincoln like a lot. Yeah, that's like his
really?
day job. Yeah. Go to his website. It's awesome.
His day job is Abraham Lincoln impersonator.
That rules.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But you might know me from the penny.
So the aforementioned boy and girl are still walking. He walks her home. He gives her a kiss, which she isn't super into.
No.
It's more of a mercy for the boy.
Yeah.
Kind of where that scene leaves. He lets her go home. He seems happy with himself and walks away.
He just had sex.
For his age, I suppose.
And
in
the
this
era.
time. Yeah. So what
Tyler, do we need to have a talk?
So what, you mean you held hands?
Patreon episode. We're going to give Tyler the talk.
Tyler explains what third base was in 1954
Speaking.
for $5 patrons and higher.
Abraham Lincoln Logs walks into a radio station and meets the receptionist.
Well, we see the sign. It says on air.
Yeah.
And he descended from.
On air.
He kind of did. You're right.
This is the KPJK radio station. He walks right in. The receptionist is there. She greets him. And he greets her with an open palm to the top of her head and cracks it like an egg.
Like an egg. We've already seen an egg
Yep.
crack in this episode.
Yep. And it won't be the last. So drops her like a bad habit.
Egg devil around here.
Yeah.
He's the devil. And there are eggs.
Perfect.
These are devilish eggs.
Yep.
Walks into the actual DJ booth and catches that guy off guard.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch the song?
I did not catch the song. Hit
Like
me
a
with it.
virgin.
The song is My Prayer by
My
the
Prayer.
Platters.
Platters?
Yep. Fun fact about the Platters. One of
They
their
have many
singers-
food.
It's true. Including deviled eggs.
Yes.
One of their singers, his name is David Lynch.
I didn't know that. I
Yep.
did know that.
You can reach us at talkingbackwardspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at talkingbackwardspod.
The song did come out like a month before this supposedly takes place.
What?
So he grabs hold of the DJ's head and half cracks it.
Yeah.
Just
He
sort of
holds
holds
on to him for a while.
Holds on to him for a minute.
Because he's got some stuff to say.
Hot minute. He does.
He's got some stuff to say.
Got something to say.
He's got the guy by the head. Apparently has a history in broadcasting.
Yes.
Because he
knows
knows how to
what to
operate
do.
the
Yeah.
equipment immediately.
Very
Just
impressed.
swipes the record. He's like, know what's going on here.
We're done with
No,
records?
he's a magician.
He's not.
So Coal-stained Abraham Lincoln says, we're done with records.
Yeah.
I'm on
Check
the
this
air.
out. It's a CD.
I would have lost it if he was from the future and brought CDs.
A compact disc.
That thing you do single.
Or just some mini clips.
Hit clips.
What song would he play?
Bop.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
he'd put this one on. Blunted Beats, the Rain's theme. I feel like he'd put that one on.
And he might.
He might.
Flips on the mic, pulls it over to him like he's done this a million times.
Got a light.
Not quite.
Now he repeats over and over
A poem.
a poem.
Not our first poem of the series.
Not, but this one is new.
It is a new one.
This one goes, this is the water.
Is the water.
This
And this
is
the well.
Oh, that's classic Harriet Hayward.
Oh, yeah.
That is
See
classic
that window over there?
Harriet Hayward poetry, if I know it.
Drink full.
It was Laura in the well.
Now that I've given it some time,
Yes.
I think the horse is the white of the eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now the poem goes, this is the water, this is the well. Drink full and descend.
Yes.
The horse is the white of the eyes and the dark within.
Mm. It's beautiful.
So badass.
It's super badass.
It's a badass
It
poem.
is badass.
What does it mean?
This is the water.
I hate you so much. Stop talking.
Adversely, this is the well.
Drink
What are
full.
you taking me on a tour of your house?
Yeah.
Drink full,
drink full and
which
descend.
is about coffee. And descend means
Donuts?
coming down the stairs.
Coming down the stairs. There's only one set of stairs I know of in Twin Peaks.
The horse is the white of the eyes, obviously.
We've seen a horse there, so it's got to be Laura's stair.
And the dark within.
Boom. What I love about this is while he's saying this, we're seeing that it's reaching the people in this town.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what I love is that there's
a nice square mile.
I love that it's parallels though too to even just some places and characters we know in Twin Peaks. We get a diner, so I'm reminded of Norma. We get a
Double R.
mechanic. I'm reminded of Big
Ed.
Ed. I think that's really cool. And then a girl sitting by a window, an open window, and I'm immediately reminded of Laura
Harriet.
and her open window that Bob comes through.
Not
much
Harriet.
Like the frog moth comes through. Harriet
Talking about
also sits through an open window, which is why I think she wrote this poem.
Absolutely. Repeats this poem over and over again as people listening to the station overhear it. For example, a waitress at a diner who collapses, a mechanic working on a car who collapses,
Yeah.
the aforementioned girl who just got walked home and got her, what I assume, first kiss.
Yeah.
Unconscious. And the frog moth from the egg that we saw
Yeah.
comes in through her window.
Mm.
Like Bob.
And
Like
she subconsciously opens her mouth and lets it crawl right in there, right down her gullet.
Just
Really uncomfortable.
Real macaroni in the pot moment. Real,
Pay no
real
heed.
gross.
Go right
gross.
in.
Super gross. So, I mean, and what I put here was that the reason he was doing this is to allow that to happen, and he quits once it's successful.
Yeah, as soon as the frog moth is all the way in this girl's gullet, he stops broadcasting and finally kills the DJ.
I mean,
Cracks his
Finally cracks his skull.
kill him first.
Like the guy's just been stuck there listening to this happen
This is the water,
and watching this happen.
and this is the well.
He starts changing his inflection. He starts he starts putting some stank on it.
I actually, that bothered me.
Exactly. Put some mustard.
This is
on
the
that
water.
motherfucker.
It
And
bothered
this
me.
Is the well.
It made me
Drinkful.
He gets more intense as he goes.
He gets too
Yeah.
into the delivery.
made me feel like this initially was supposed to be this big orchestrated, I don't know, like realm of overtaking or something. But like when he started getting a personality about it, it's like it seemed like it was just him. I don't know. It made me feel disconnected from the situation.
It felt less like he was a herald and more like he was just kind of having fun with it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe just he was getting more intense because he was like, okay, this needs to happen. Why is it not happening? Assuming he's got some connection to the bug.
Yeah, but then like he had this like Bill the Butcher kind of like, this is the water and this is the well. Like
he's got a cigarette hanging from his mouth.
Puts a little Dan Carlin on it. And the dark within. End quote.
He's getting into it because he's also like
he's kooshballing the
Yeah,
guy's
he's
head.
got this guy's head in his hand.
Ooh, daddy, this is the water.
Dig until your fingers bleed, as the Nine Inch
Yeah.
Nails say.
I mean, my first impressions of this, and I kind of still feel the same after seeing it 157 times. The return taken on its own, or just kind of as this of a new thing, or what? Like, to me, this was the new Fire Walk with Me poem. Like, this was the new evil chant, or evil, whatever, magical chant or whatever.
Oh, this is Evil Chant 2.0 for sure.
That's kind of my take on it. And the horse thing, Tyler, for the record, like, I am making an entire video at some point called The White Horse, and the jury in my mind is still out on what it means and why it's there and who it represents or what it is or whatever. But we do hear the horse at night. We do know Fire Walk with Me. Sarah Palmer sees the white horse in the original show and in Fire Walk with Me. We hear the horse at
the end of this
night.
episode.
Episode 2, when Cooper sees Laura in the red room and she whispers in his ear and then disappears. This is in The Return.
Yeah,
then the curtains blow open and he's looking into the black abyss. We see a white horse, remember?
Yeah.
Well, an interesting connection too with that made me think of is like the woodsman here, the Godlight woodsman is saying these words, I feel like, to fulfill this purpose, and it's to put everyone to sleep. And then I got reminded when I started thinking about the white horse, I thought about Leland essentially putting Sarah to sleep before she saw the white horse. Like, exact same thing.
Yeah. But is
just in a different way.
I'm just saying, as far as this dude is concerned, is that a totem? Is that an image? Is that some sort of does that represent somebody or some entity? Is the white horse truly evil? Does it just appear when evil things are happening? Or is it connected to the woodsman? Like, this is all stuff that's, in my mind, changes every time I revisit it. But we do hear a white horse. We do hear a horse.
Yeah.
Right
before we get
the darkness, right?
Immediately before starring Kyle MacLachlan, we hear the white horse. It just freaks me out. In complete darkness, by the way. I love the way this was shot.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Awesome.
I have two things. And one was just as we were talking, I came up with it.
Love
that. One, white horse is a death icon, always has been.
Mm-hmm.
It's a death totem. Like, either death is coming or death is here. Like, that's historically, theologically, forever a white horse is equivalent to death in some level. So that being present is not surprising. It's always there before or during, like, tragic death events. That's when we get the white horse. It's as he's repeating it, he is killing people. It's like, there's your death there. Sarah would see it constantly, and before Laura's death, Maddie's death.
Yeah.
Maddie.
It's like,
poor girl.
Like, white horse equals death. Like, just, to me, that's just flat out. I feel like there's not much more to that. That's what it is. The other thing is on poems. Like, you have the Fire Walk with Me poem, and you have this poem, and you have opposing elements. So chronologically, this is the first poem. This is the water. This is the well. Drink full and descend. Horses the white of the eyes, dark within. Then you have, what is it? Between two worlds, a magician longs to see, or something.
Fire walk with me.
One chance out between two worlds. Fire walk with me. Water and fire are opposing elements.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like, at some point, did this lodge faction, like, because if the bomb going off is what opened the door to let Boob Monster vomit Bob and basically release the woodsman into existence, if that's what tore the veil to make these lodge spirits exist, and their creed is this is the water, this is the well, blah, blah, blah. If that's what they lived by, then at some point did Bob go rogue and live by a different set of values that they didn't agree with? And that's why he's such a problem currently, and why everybody's hunting him now.
I like all that.
Is he like,
sounds great.
Is he
Could
the
you
is
say
he the
all of
is he
that
the
again?
Splinter Cell of? I'm saying.
Have
Like,
do you subscribe to our podcast?
I
You can play it back when it airs in
okay,
4 months.
Great.
I'm just saying if the ideology is like. What's even the word I want? If it is somehow embedded in just like the theory of water, let's just say that the idea of the lodge spirits as they were born was water, something about flow, something about saturation. If that was their whole deal, was those ideals. And then Bob decides, actually, everything should be about fire, destruction, cleansing, like just the reduction of everything to its purest element. And that was his idea. That is completely inverse to the original, like, conception and reason for existence for the spirits. If he split off and did his own thing in a fire-based logic versus their water-based logic, that would be a reason for him to be on the run, to be sucked back into the Black Lodge, to be resisting everything around him that's not him. Why Mike hunts him. Why Mike cut his arm off. Just... I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
Hey,
Dude, it's all good, man.
Too.
We're okay to talk about this now because that's the end of the episode. He finally kills the DJ
Yeah.
and the credits roll.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up one other thing about the bug, the frog moth.
Yoshi.
I was also reminded of Mike talking about, do you understand the parasite? It attaches to itself, to a life form, and feeds. So I was immediately reminded of that quote.
But,
Yeah.
I think we probably should wrap it up and get to some final thoughts on the episode and give it a score.
Patrick?
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I
wrap it
watched this Home Alone. Jaw was on the floor. I feel like I got on Reddit for hours after just trying to put pieces together. Got online after when finally like major publications were putting up their reviews and they were putting stuff together more than I did. And I was like, did we watch the same episode? I don't know. So I mean, I started putting pieces together and I was like, oh my God, like there's way more to this than I initially thought, because yes, my jaw was on the floor, but I was like, I don't know that I understand. Like my brain just wasn't working well enough to be like, I don't understand. Cause you got to realize I wasn't a David Lynch, fan before Twin Peaks. I hadn't really seen much of his stuff. Yes, I've gone back and revisited it. And, but I couldn't just sit there and be like, this wasn't like the most thought-provoking thing I've ever seen. Like, my God, like this, I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of my life. Like, this is just one of those episodes where I'm just like, what pieces of this puzzle can I put together? And that's the fun part of the show for me. It's frightening. It's unpredictable. It's beautiful. I really think, like kind of what you were saying a second ago, Mr. Ring, with Lynch, it's not just weird to be weird. It all comes from a specific place with him. I mean, you can see the people out there who try to be David Lynch and try to, it's like, they're trying to be Lynch. Like you can tell when it's like trying to be, but this all comes, I think, from a very genuine place. And thank you, Showtime, for giving the budget to this. I don't understand how this ever made it to air, but speaking of just David Lynch, we need to credit Mark Frost. He's as much a part of this episode, I think, if not maybe a little more for all. I mean, yes, David Lynch is putting everything to the screen for us to see, but Mark Frost is very much such a huge part of this episode. And I mean, the Secret History is a testament to that. And I know this episode is not for everyone. It's weird as shit. But I will say, I think the stuff that happens in part 3 is weirder than this episode. I think that stuff when he's coming through a socket, come on. That's weirder than anything that happens in this episode. But I also want to point out the music. I absolutely love the music in the entirety of this episode. The sound in this episode is absolutely incredible. Angelo's music in the scene with the giant and Senorita Dido is so good. That's what I had the music come from in my intro music for this specific episode. I love it. I love it. This isn't an episode I revisit often, but I do think about it a lot, and I'll never forget the experience of seeing it the first time, because it just was not expected at all. And I appreciate that it aired the way it did. That it just seems like he was given 100% total creative freedom, which you don't see. Right. To give an artist just, hey, here, go paint. Well, you do you.
We'll pay for the paint.
Bob Rossett, do it.
Well, I watched this episode for the first time with you.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
It was just a lot of stuff.
I didn't give you any heads up.
Nope, not at all.
And that's how it should be, because it's just like we weren't given that on our first one.
No, we sure weren't. I honestly think it wouldn't be so like heralded as such a weird episode if it weren't for the 10 to 11 minutes dedicated solely to just footage of fire and visuals. That's really the only really weird part to me, is just the like art film section, where it's like you're not given a lot of context, you're just given images that are kind of disassociated and go on for so long, and then you cut to something else that's really interesting, then you go right back to the Winamp visuals. Like it's because of that it feels so weird as an episode. If there was different content in between, or even if those segments were shorter, if there was 4 minutes less of that stuff, this episode wouldn't be so deconstructed as being like, oh, it's the nefarious part 8. Like it's because of that it's taken so strangely by people, and they have such a hard time dealing with everything in it. A lot of stuff does happen, and I feel like the way that it's posited is simple enough to understand relatively for a series like Twin Peaks. Like the things that it gives you, for lack of a better term, makes sense. It's because you cut to just these really abstract sections of just visual without dialogue that it's seen as a weird episode. I think it's very good. And there are sections that I think are beautiful. I could have done with, I'll bump it up to 8. I could have done with 8 less minutes of fire and sparkles and swirly images and all that. Just take that out, and this is extremely watchable. But that's what makes it so hard to swallow for so many people.
Wow. It was good. Also, it had nothing to do with anything.
Mr. Ring, you have any final wrap-up thoughts here?
I think this is what it's all about. I think this is what David Lynch is all about. I think this is the greatest thing I've ever seen live on TV. I didn't understand it either right away. I didn't jump on Reddit right away, but I actually, to be honest, I tried to stay off the internet as much as possible, just because I experienced the original show all by my lonesome, and I kind of wanted to do the return the same way, just kind of absorb it, whatever. But like after this, I was just like, I had a different Twitter account back then, but I was going out finding like atomic bomb gifts and sharing that and sending all that stuff to my friends and stuff like this is like I like learning the chant. I had the chant like burnt in my brain. Like I was waking up, like I woke up at like 5 a.m. the next morning, like this is the water.
Hey, I'm sure you remember the commercial that aired. There was, I think it was like right before the finale aired, but it was like, we're doing a marathon, of Showtime was doing a marathon, an all-day marathon leading up to the finale or whatever. And it would show like the going into the atomic bomb, and it would just show that quote from Rolling Stone. It was like, it will fuck you up.
I think Dave's right. I think the reason that why it's so, I guess, divisive or people just have different, like, I agree, like the amount of silence and the abstract visuals and whatnot is a huge part of it. But to be fair, like, ain't no other black and white Twin Peaks, ain't no other flashbacks in Twin Peaks, ain't no other flashbacks that go back 50 years, like this is a total, with the exception of the first, 10 minutes, which Mr. C gets shot. And then you have a musical number at the beginning of the episode, and it's a twisted, dark, like they flip the episode on its head. They flip the series on its head. they show you an abstract art film that is also kind of arguably the origin story to a lot of this stuff. It's not what I expected, but it's what I wanted, like in the worst way. And like, it's so, to me, it was so good that like Nine Inch Nails, like maybe not now as like a 40-year-old man, but from 15 to 20 years old, like basically Nine Inch Nails, like my favorite band. As far as like dollars spent, concerts gone to, albums bought, the whole 9 yards from like 1994 till 2003, 2004, like for 10 years of my life, like definitely my favorite band. And I walked away from this episode not even remembering that Nine Inch Nails was in it. Yeah. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, holy shit, it's Nine Inch Nails! Yeah, this is cool." Like, you know, but then
that feels like it was a year ago by the time you get to the end.
Speaking of the Roadhouse, that actually made me think, because I've always thought this is with the sweeping scene from the scene before was just the calm before the storm of this episode. I've always felt that way.
It's interesting. I forgot. So the sweeping scene is 7.
The sweeping scene is it's at the end, towards the end of 7. Yeah,
that's interesting. And the fact that it connects to the secret history, the fact that the atomic bomb and the occult stuff, like this is where all the Aleister Crowley crap comes into play. And, you know, you can get rid of all of that stuff. Like some people, I get comments on my videos all the time, like the Frost stuff doesn't matter. This is the expanded universe. This is all about David Lynch and like what he wants you to experience. Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. However, if you deep dive into that stuff, it makes all this stuff even more dense and rich, and like you can just keep exploring it. And the chant, the horse, the radio station, the woodsman, who are these people? What do they want? What does the chant mean? Is this a comment on post-nuclear America diving into radio and television and pop nonsense? Is this, you know, like, I don't know. I get something new out of it every time. Absolutely love it. Probably my favorite episode of, I wouldn't say all of Twin Peaks, because it's kind of that sequel prequel, like, oh, people say, you know, like the Lord of the Rings movies, oh, the Return of the King is the best, or like, it's like, yeah, but like, it's the best because like it's so emotional, and I care about these characters and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but is the reason you care about these characters is because of the first one. Yeah. Right. It's like these characters were set up in the first one. The reason you care if they live or die in part 3 and why there's so much drama is because the first one is so brilliant and it sets all these characters up, is my take on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is definitely, without a doubt, one of my favorite episodes.
So I've got a few questions for you guys in a segment we call Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries is where Patrick poses some questions and we give definitive scientific answers. So go ahead with those.
Which
that fucker Ray?
Which Philip is that fucker Ray working with?
Jeffries. Nailed it.
Is it Jeffries?
It's gotta be.
I'll say it's a, and this is the truth, it's a third unknown Philip that we have not seen nor heard from yet.
How did Ray get his gun?
He got it from Annie.
And he got a gun? There it is.
I think you mean Janie E.
Janie.
Yeah, I was like, Janie's got a gun.
Where have you been, Dougie?
That's my husband, Dougie Jones. Yeah. Of course I know him. That's Douglas Jones, my husband. Maybe Janie E's gun was the one in the glove box, and the one Ray had was Annie's.
Are there other frog moths?
Like 5,000. What's the population of Twin Peaks canonically? That many frog moths.
Small, large town.
That many frog moths.
Yes.
Who is the 1956 girl?
Julie
the
Cruz.
former. I'll take that. There we go. Drew Crew.
Why did nobody have a light?
Yeah, why did nobody have a light?
Yeah, everybody's smoking.
Let me out, Skitch.
Unsolved Mysteries.
And we will give our foreheads reviews, but first I want to take a quick trip to the Reddit room. So I took to Reddit and found a couple of reviews from the original air date of this episode. And we're not really alone in our feelings on this.
Are we alone in our principles?
Of course, no man is an island.
Am I not
we are
alone
for sure islands.
in the Reddit room?
Oh no, we're all here together in the Reddit room. And
Okay.
It's
Kinda
it's a little hot. I was gonna say it's a perfect temperature, but I guess if you're wearing a sweater,
It's this dope ass cardi I have on.
that is a strong cardigan. I'm pretty jealous of your setup. Kent Broswell, 3 years ago, said, just as predicted last week, evil Coop gets shot, but then homeless ghosts revive him, then a nuclear bomb explodes for 20 minutes while the giant watches the current episode of Twin Peaks and levitates. While meanwhile, 60 years ago, zombie Abraham Lincoln goes on a murder rampage before he lulls everyone to sleep so that a mutant bug can crawl into a girl's mouth. I still like the show and all, but sometimes I get a little annoyed that it's so predictable.
So predictable. It's so predictable.
So predictable.
It's a really good comment.
There's a follow-up comment that says, from Grace 2, it says, this episode made Eraserhead look like Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
And the last one, and maybe my favorite, is from Malphasia, who says, in all caps, drink full and descend, my dudes!
That's amazing.
Look, we don't all have cardigans, so we can probably get out of here.
Yeah, it is.
Super hot.
And now, finally, it's that time.
We're finally going to crush the DJ's skull of this episode.
James! I just can't. James!
Just as we kicked off our
Water.
final thoughts, Patrick, would you like to kick off Talking Foreheads for part 8?
Yes. Go ahead, Tyler.
Just 5.
We already knew.
If I could, I would.
Oh, boy. Look, there's a lot of good stuff in this one. And there's a lot of art house I can do without. But the good is so good. And just the discussion that it sparked here tonight. I originally coming in, I came in hot. I was going to give it a 3. I was going to give it a 3 for all the waiting. I don't know, just like everything that it made me think about and the discussion that it sparked and realizing that the only parts that bummed me out were the amount of time spent on the stuff that didn't have dialogue or progression. The rest of it is so good, but it's 4 foreheads for me.
Just 4.
Just 4.
Yes. Tyler, pop it off. How many heads? What are you thinking?
I don't know.
We've seen this twice?
1.5. Yeah.
1.5?
1.5-ish.
Are you thinking 1?
No.
2?
No.
3? Let me finish. 3?
A lady?
4?
Lionel Richie?
5?
Just 4.
Okay. I see you.
Oh, is that the most shocking moment in the history of the show? Dear Lord.
Wow, and a half.
Explain yourself.
I shan't.
Okay, Mr. Lynch.
It's good. It's good, but it's not great. And it has
Don't say it. Don't say it has nothing to
a,
do with anything.
Since it's a standalone Twin Peaks episode.
So you think this is an encapsulated experience?
Yes.
Okay. But if you had to put it in 4 heads.
Yeah, Mr. Ring, tell us.
And you do have to.
Oh.
As a participant.
5. What's the highest amount of foreheads? 5?
5.
Just 5.
Just 5.
Nice.
It's talking foreheads, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Oh, what a night.
Wow, part 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of it. And
thank you, Mr. Ring.
I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point.
Yeah, I'm so stoked that I was part of this episode. You guys have no idea. If I did one more, that was the thing. If I did 2 episodes with you guys, Secret History and part 8, so I can die a happy man.
Oh, wow, perfect.
It's quite the honor.
Yeah, we are honored.
Thank you, Mr. Ring.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right on, guys. Take care.
Yeah, have a
Talk
good
to you
night.
later.
All right, thank you, man. If there's anything we missed that you feel like we should have touched on, you can reach us at talkingbackwardspod@gmail.com. You can also look at us and DM us at talkingbackwardspod at Instagram. Patrick.
We are also on Twitter at Talkin' Backward.
All right. Everybody knows what time it is. It is time for some Egg Devler shout-outs here on Talking Backwards. Today is a very special shout-out because it goes out to the one and only Mr. Ring, a.k.a. Take the Ring, a.k.a. Insert Real Name. Mr. Ring, thank you so much for supporting us and coming on the show from time to time to really just tell us about what Twin Peaks is at its core. And that's just a fun time. Also, tell your cousin or brother or whichever relative Dave Grohl is that I would like some tickets when they tour again. Should be any day now. Those have been my Egg Devler shout-outs. If you or anybody you know would like to have their name read out loud on a podcast, then please tell them to support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/talkingbackwards. Anchor.
.fm/talkingbackwards. We'll see you for part 9.
Abraham Lincoln Logs walks into a bar. The bartender says, why the log face?
Oh!
Man!
And I quit.